How's it going, guys? I thought I'd take just a few minutes today in this video with just a few things that I wanted to talk about. And of course, with a lot of the things that have been going on in our country with the upcoming election and things like that, we've also seen a lot of the stuff going on with the riots and other things. And I know there's a lot of videos coming out because it has even been in the mainstream media and things like that, talking about all the civil unrest, talking about are we headed to a civil war, that sort of thing. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to share a few of my thoughts with you guys on this as well. And I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments on what you think about some of these things. If we look at the United States in general, we're going to see that it's a very large nation. And if you were to take the land mass of the United States and put it over any other continent on the earth, you're going to see a whole host of different countries within that particular land mass. If you travel the United States, different parts of the United States, and spend very much time in those areas, you're going to certainly notice that there is a difference in the cultures of a lot of the different segments in the United States in general. I took a cultural geography class back several years ago, and we talked about a lot of these differences. Geographers have pretty much basically divided the country up anywhere from 4 to 6 quadrants based upon culture. And I think it's a very interesting thing. I mean, there's just big differences between large segments of this country. Yes, there's a lot of similarities. I think that there's a lot more similarities than there are differences, but some areas there are significant differences. And I think that that is a big driving force between what we're seeing now. And I think that that is why we're seeing such division. If you study history, you're going to see the same type of conflict over and over and over. You're going to see the conflict between rural and urban. That's where a lot of it really hits. The difference between people from the country, the more rural areas, people from the more urban areas. Typically liberal, conservative, that sort of thing. You do see a big span in the cultural differences between those that are more liberal. Liberals tend to be more collectivists. They tend to be more people that look for others to help them to do things or to do things for them, whereas conservatives are typically more independent. They are more about doing things on their own, that sort of thing. Try to minimize the need to have to burden others with their own needs. And there again, if you're raised in a rural area, typically there's a good chance that you are more independent and you are going to be more conservative on things like that. For various reasons, for religious influences, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that influence the way people view the world. If you grow up in an urban environment, you have all the services right there most of the time, just within walking distance of whatever, and it's just that sort of thing. And that is a big part of what we're seeing. And with all of the riots and things going on within the cities and things like that, we're seeing a lot of people flee those big cities. And the flip side of that is, as they flee those big cities, a lot of them are going to take a lot of the same mentality, a lot of the ideology where they voted for a lot of these liberal policies. They're going to take it with them into other areas and end up voting that same way, where they are going to try to bring in things that eventually led to the destruction of where they came from into their new areas. And I know some people won't, but there are an element of those who will. I've even seen it around here where there are people that have moved into this area for a brief period of time that really complained about a lot of things. They hated that there's no public transportation and things like that. Of course, we also don't have the ridiculous amount of taxes in this area that they had in a lot of those places where they came from. So, there's a trade-off on things. And I think that the cultural differences that are now becoming more evident than ever are something that we really need to pay attention of. We really need to pay attention to those around us as far as how they view things and how their beliefs can impact us. Particularly when it comes to elections and things like that. Local elections are going to be more of an issue as time goes on, in my opinion. And I think that, the influence of people where they will come from one area into another, I think that there is a big chance that that can drastically change the way an area's geography or cultural geography is. In more ways than you know. Now, there have been people that have moved into this area where I'm at, very rural, ultra-conservative area. So any of you lefties out there, stay away. But the reality is some of the people that have moved into this area moved away from those areas and have came here and actually are some of the strongest people that warn about the dangers of this. I remember going to a meeting several years ago. It was kind of a public forum where over planning and zoning and things like that. And the majority of the people that were there were people that had moved into this area, and they were extremely vocal and extremely against some of the things that were being discussed, and they told some horrific stories about why they left the areas where they did and came into where they are now, into this area here. And they have some very interesting stories. I mean, there was a few that just, they wanted to basically change here into what they left, but they got the picture pretty quick that that was not going to happen. But again, people that have gone through those troubles, they know how valuable freedom is, just at that level. Came to an area which is much more free, and they are not about in any way willing to surrender that freedom again to people that want to change it. And so that's some of the shift that we see as people move around the country and things like that, and how they can influence an area. So I think it's a good idea to just talk to your neighbors, get to know them, get to know their views on a few things, and see, especially if they're new to an area, and see what they think about a lot of the things. I know that something that's happening everywhere with the people moving out of these bigger cities, I think some of them are even realizing the mess that they've gotten themselves in. But anyways, guys, this is just a quick video that I wanted to do. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. I know this isn't necessarily firearms related, but it can affect the culture of guns, the gun community. Particularly if you live in an area where they start bringing in some of these crazy laws that are, in opposition to the Second Amendment. But guys, this is just a simple discussion about some of the things going on today. Love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, check out the rest of the videos on the channel, and we'll see you next time.